Okay, you good?
Ready.
Well, welcome, Charlotte, to the podcast. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. It's fun and an honor to be here too.
Charlotte, I've known you for just over a year, and I have been fascinated by you as a person, but also by your business and your niche. Do you want to just start by telling everyone what you do? Because it's so cool.
Yes, I am a mindset and business coach for farmers, which includes all of agriculture, like flower farmers, cattle ranchers, chicken farmers, alpaca farmers, fiber farmers, all the farmers.
Do you have beekeepers?
I do. I have beekeepers. I have a lot of farmers who have bees as something in addition to their farm. So absolutely, which would make them like a honey farmer.
Right. That's true. That's true. Okay. I want to go back. I want to hear this story from you. Can you tell us your relationship to farming?
Yes. Well, I grew up on a farm here in Oregon, and in a little farming community of 400 people, which I came back to. So it's where I am again. And I grew up like as soon as you could work, you were out in the fields working. So from, 7-year-olds picking strawberries, and then 8 years old on a tractor driving for 8 hours a day. And then we worked really hard. But when I was 14, my dad's farm went bankrupt. This was back in 1980 when it was happening to lots of people. And it took about 4 years to go through the process, and we lost everything. So, I mean, we had the clothes on our back. We lost our house. We lost over the 4 years. They gradually sold off everything to pay the debt. And it was, go ahead.
What were you farming? What was the crops, or what was the revenue?
I live in Oregon's Willamette Valley, which is the grass seed capital of the world. They raise grass seed for all the world's golf courses. So mostly grass seed, but we also raise some wheat, corn, sugar beets, hazelnuts. So it was a very large commodity farm. He was selling to canneries, or he had contracts with big corporations for his products.
And so 4 years for that whole bankruptcy to happen. What was that like?
Well, it was humiliating when you live in a town of 400 and everyone knows your business and you're related to half of them and you owe people money. And, our parents protected us from some of that, but we knew that people, well, as a kid, I just didn't have any tools to deal with what we were going through. So it just was really traumatic. It took me a lot of years to get over it. And the decision I made when I was 18, planning like, what was I going to do next? It was like, I decided farming was a ridiculous way to make a living. I was going to get as far away from as possible from it. I went to college. I was going to have a big corporate job and never look back. So that was my the trauma of being raised on this beautiful farm and working really hard, losing everything. And then okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah, understandable. And so what did you take in college? What did you study?
I was a communications major, and I thought about going to law school. Thank goodness I didn't, because now I have so many friends that are lawyers that aren't happy.
Jenny's a lawyer.
Oh, okay. Jenny, that's great. Yeah. So I'm glad I never made it that far. But yeah, I was in my immature 18-year-old brain, it was like that was the key to the universe, and get as far away from the farming world as possible and find a job where you can make money and not go bankrupt and not losing everything. It was really great now, because now I have the skill of knowing how, if I lost everything today, I'm totally fine. I know exactly what to do. Literally, I could get a job driving bus, it really doesn't matter. So I don't have fear of losing everything today because of that experience. But back then, yeah, it was really life-changing.
And so I know you've come back to the farm now. So how did you return?
Well, time heals wounds. And when my kids were in grade school, which was, 15 years or more later, I would come out and visit my parents out here in the country. And I just started to have this pull that my kids have the same lifestyle I had growing up. I wanted my girls to be able to jump on a horse and ride across the field like I did, and my son to be able to have a motorcycle and ride it around the fields. And I forgot about the pain and I remembered the lifestyle. And so 18 years ago, bought this property that I live on now and gave my kids that lifestyle. And they still are in and out. They love having this as a foundation.
How much land did you buy?
I bought 5 acres, and that's what I live on now. But when I had started my farm in 2005, I rented 75 acres from so I was farming about 75 acres.
Got it. Okay. So I read on your website, you were like, I'm not going bankrupt. I'm going to do this differently. How did you do it differently? Because you wanted to be profitable on that farm.
Yeah. When I decided, this was 2009. So a lot of years ago, that I wanted to use my land to have a farm instead of just sit here and, mow the lawn. I actually wanted to use it. I knew that nobody was going to tell me how much to charge. Like my dad back in the 80s and still today, when you have a commodity farm, they tell you what they're going to pay you. You do not have a say in it. And so me being the rebel is like, nobody's going to tell me what they're going to pay me. I'm going to set the price, and it's going to be based on me making a profit, period, because it's such hard work. I'm not going to do it unless, like any business, why do it unless you're going to make a profit? So I decided that I was going to sell direct to consumer. That's the only way to do that. Because in the commodity world where you're selling to big corporations, you can't set your own price. So that meant I had to sell direct to consumer, which was wonderful. That's where I started. I have a little farm store here on the property, and we had about 100 people a week that would come to our store and shop and buy their meat, milk, and eggs. And because of my education, my interest in communications, and I worked as a realtor for 8 years, I had the skills to connect with people and teach them the value of our products. Because if you're going to buy farm fresh food, it's got to be more expensive than the grocery store. So you've got to learn the skills that I had I had already developed to teach that to people. So your customers will value it and will be willing to forego cheap prices at the grocery store to buy our food. So.
Charlotte, I have a question for you about homesteaders. And I've just noticed this massive kind of influx into this kind of homesteading idea, or back to the land idea. And I'm wondering, like, are those kinds of farmers the same? Like, do you relate to those people who are primarily doing this to sustainably take care of their families and then support themselves financially in the process? Or do you feel like to have a successful farm business, they need to think bigger than just the homestead?
Oh, no, the homesteaders, my program, I have 250 farmers in there of all shapes and sizes farms, and many homesteaders. And lots of times that's where it starts. Most people can't afford to go out and buy 100 acres plus all the infrastructure. So many people start with a backyard milk cow or a hive of bees, honeybees, or a flock of chickens. And it's to feed their own family. And then they realize, whoa, it's really expensive to have all these animals. and they produce so much food. So if we can sell half of our milk and half of our eggs and start paying for our homestead, how beautiful is that? We can maybe take a family vacation. So that's often where it starts. And then one milk cow turns into 2 milk cows, and then turns into 5 milk cows, or a flock of 100 chickens soon appears, and you're selling them for meat. So yeah, homesteaders are often where people start and get the experience. And you're right. It's, especially since COVID, a lot of people are realizing that the security of producing your own farm fresh food is a skill that many of us should consider. If we have the capability, if you have 1 acre even, or a half an acre, my daughter has a half an acre. I know people in town with chickens. So yeah, there's a great connection there.
Hmm. So in 2009, when you started this, was it a hard message to get across that this, like, to explain the value? Were people, I can't remember 2009, to be honest, Charlotte, like, were people looking for that? Like, were they seeking that out back then? Or did you have to really work to explain,
No, and I think that's why, I teach marketing. I'm a marketing expert. And so
right.
I think you can learn the skill to do that, but I think I had a lot of that skill of just sharing the value with them. The other thing is I had a profound personal story with my family.
Mm.
We started out as a raw milk dairy. So, raw milk straight from the cow, unpasteurized, is so healing for your body and physically, and your gut, your immune system, your digestive system, everything. So my kids had, and do you want to hear the connection?
Yes,
Okay. So
absolutely.
I didn't just randomly wake up one day and say, I'm going to start a raw milk dairy. My kids both of them were 6, they developed severe eczema. And so this was, oh gosh, over 20 years ago. My oldest daughter had it for 6 years, all over her face and eyes, and doctors couldn't help her. They would give her a little steroid cream, but there's problems with that, and nothing would work. So one time, I was always open when other moms would say, well, try this herb or this salve. I tried everything. And one day someone said, try raw milk. It heals eczema. And I was like, what? I'd never heard of raw milk. I didn't know you could drink milk straight from a cow, even though I grew up on a farm because we were raising grass seed and wheat. So I actually found some milk. It's hard to find in Oregon. I kind of had to go underground, and biggest shock of my life, my kids' eczema cleared up about 2 weeks later. And the only thing we did was add raw milk to our diet.
Every day.
Every day, just a glass of raw milk, because it's more expensive. It's produced small batch out on a farm somewhere. It's more money. So we had a glass a day, and their eczema went away. Everyone was toward the end of my 10 years producing raw milk. I had doctors at Oregon Health Sciences University, nutritionists sending people out to our farm to buy raw milk because it's so healing. So that's why I started with milk cows. And then what happened is I started being asked to speak and share my story at conferences all across the United States, nutrition conferences, farming conferences. So with that story, when you have a healing story like that, it's priceless. People were willing to pay what I needed to charge to build my profitable farm. And that's what I teach my farmers today, is everybody has a story. Whatever product you are raising, there's a why. There's a why for you as a farmer or a homesteader. It could be, I have lots of homesteaders with lots of kids, 6 kids, 9 kids, 13 kids, and there's always stories in there. So for the marketing, I help them find their story, and that's how they communicate the value. And when you do that, price is no object. When your kids heal from eczema with raw milk after 6 years of pain and struggle, you will pay anything. It doesn't even matter what price the farmer has to charge. So that's how I teach farmers today to communicate their value. And it was you asked, it was easy for me back in 2009 because I had this incredible story.
Right.
Charlotte, can I just ask about the legality? Like, how did you deal with that issue? And maybe it's different in Oregon, but I know in a lot of states and communities in the United States, raw milk is not something that people typically can legally sell. So how did that work out?
It's legal over the years that I've been drinking it, 20 years. It went from being legal in only half the states to probably it's legal in about 3/4 of the states. But most states, you have to go to the farm. California, you can buy it on the shelves. There are a few states, Maine, Portland, Maine. I love it. You can buy it fresh from the farm in the grocery stores. But most times you have to find a farmer, and you have to you just start it's one thing leads to another. You start asking around, or Facebook groups. You can find it in most places, but you
That's
got to do some
great.
homework. You can't just go to the store.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my good friends, circa like 2005, 2006, was running an underground raw milk operation in Washington, D.C., where people were going up to like Amish country
Yep.
and picking the milk up from the farms and then like distributing it to people's houses.
So
And
that's still
yeah.
today, 2023, you'll find
Yeah.
that those kind of networks all over.
Yeah. It was beautiful, actually. I think a little risky, but like it was like commerce in action.
Mhm.
People getting what they needed for their health and what they believed
Exactly.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
So
glad
cool.
you've had that experience. So you
Yeah.
understand. And as a mom of sick kids, we will do anything. We will
Yeah.
drive 2 or 3 hours to Pennsylvania to get our
Yep.
milk, if that's what it takes to support the health of our family.
I think that's great. I mean, to me, homesteading and farming at this point in time is sort of like a radical act. And so like the story that you're sharing, I think is profound as a business story, but it's also profound in that you're empowering people to do something that's like probably very difficult to do without resources or a community of people that are also doing it.
Yes, which is why I'm a coach for farmers, because it's so challenging. There are so many struggles, not just the physical struggles and the financial struggles, but the mental struggles of, oh shoot, they changed the law. Now I can no longer advertise my product that I've invested, hundreds of thousands of dollars into producing. So there's a lot of mental and psychological stress that happens with with farmers.
So my dad farms. That's where my bees are, on his land. And he basically just rents his land out for barley and oats. But I hear the chatter in the community, and it is such a struggle. Like even the farmers who, have the $250,000 tractors, it's just such a hard business. And I just appreciate everyone who's, large or small, who are attempting this to continue our food. But what made you think, like, tell me the decision to go into, like, when was it that's like, I'm going to start a coaching practice for farmers?
Mm-hmm. Well, when I had success on my farms, I started in 2009, and soon, because of my experience in my past and my education, I was able to sell out my products. I had a wait list, and I was charging probably double what anyone else was. So farmers were taking notice, and they were contacting me saying, how are you able to sell all your products at this price? So I started teaching marketing. And as I taught marketing, there were a lot of farmers who would implement it and make money and have success. And then there was a whole group of my clients who did not have success. And I started noticing that the difference was how they thought about it. The farmers who had success would say things like, oh, this is great. I'm going to figure this out. There's something I can learn. I can teach people how to value my products. I have hope. This is going to work. The people who didn't have success, the only difference was they're telling a different story. This is hard. Nobody's going to pay this price. I don't know what to charge. I feel guilty charging people double what it is in the grocery store. My clients don't, or our customers don't respect our hard work. I realized they were just telling themselves a different story. And then I found coaching where I got certified about 5 years ago. And I learned the tools to teach them how to rewire their brains to tell a different story. And when they shifted from, this is so hard, nobody will pay my price, to, oh, I'm going to learn how to teach people to value my products, then I get just more and more success. And, as coaches, we want everyone to get results in our program. We don't want it just for the select few. So when I added coaching, it just got so many more people, farmers, across the finish line of making money, finally, for the first time in their farm business.
And I have this idea of a farmer from my immediate experience as an older man, gruff, angry, kind of like defeatist and angry at the government all the time. Do you have, and then there's like on your website, you've got, flower farmers who are younger and female. Can you just paint the picture of the demographic? Like, do you have some of these older generational farmers, multi-generational farmers, or is it more of these like homesteaders into choosing to go into bigger operations?
I love that you asked this question because it just reinforces this idea of neuroplasticity. We can change our brains at any age. I have farmers. My youngest farmer is 19 and my
Wow.
oldest, I have several in their 70s, including two, what you just described, maybe gruff old men when they first came to me, and they work with me for my programs a year long, and they turn into loving, compassionate men.
My
I'm
God.
not kidding you, but not everyone will do that. The older we get in our lives, the more set in our ways we get. So of course, there's many, many farmers in the older generation, men and women both, who will never do this work. And I can have so much compassion for them from afar. But if I can have one man in his 70s who's in 80s, I mean, we'll take them at all ages, but right now the oldest are about 75, who can see hope to maybe live their day differently instead of so negative and pessimistic, they are welcome and they are going to have so much support. And what's amazing is in my group of 250 farmers, the young hipster women flower farmers are supporting the 75-year-olds and vice versa. Again, I think it's a beauty of a group coaching program is no two farmers look alike. So we're up leveling the whole farming world. And yeah, there's hope. A lot of our fathers, because my dad's probably same age as yours, same idea. A lot of them won't do this work, and we can just, have so much compassion from them. But those who will do this work, they can change their legacy now. They can start now, when whatever years they have left.
Charlotte, I know we are going to get questions about how you find your clients. And so you have obviously this wide, amazingly diverse demographic. And so that leads, I think, naturally to the question of how do you find the right people for your program? How do they find you?
The best thing, the way my clients, my list is pretty big now, and there's this level of connection with my list that you don't see often as lists grow, directly correlates to my experience as a speaker. Like, we're all thinking, I don't need to go out and meet people in person. Let's just go online. But I'm telling you, it's 10 times, it speeds up the process times 10 when you can get out and meet people in person. And I started as a speaker in 2012 for free. I would get my plane fare reimbursed, and that's about it. And I would speak for free, but I would go there and I had a lead magnet because I learned in 2013 how to have them sign up to your email list. So then it became my goal of going to speaking at a conference was first about how many of those people can I have such an enticing lead magnet that they will get on my email list so I can keep connected with them when I leave. And then the second priority was teaching what I was teaching in the moment or inspiring. But my first priority was always list building. And I'm so grateful to my past self that I did that, because it's kind of, it's not what it goes against what we think to be true, but getting out and meeting people. And then I thought there'd become a point where, I don't have to speak anymore. I'll just use Facebook ads. But I'm telling you, I still do keynotes. I do Zoom keynotes now, since a lot of conferences are more willing to have Zoom virtual keynote speakers since COVID. Nothing beats in-person connection with people. If you can walk up and introduce yourself to someone and give them a hug or shake their hand, they are so many times more likely to give you money. So I just make it a priority, and I teach my clients, set one afternoon aside each week and get out in the public and meet people. Don't stop that. Don't try to rely on just gathering people from the internet. You can do that, but it'll just exponentially grow your ability to find clients when you can get out in person and meet people.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because our clients, we also teach a lot of marketing skills too. And people kind of get stuck and like, have an online business, therefore I should only market online. And I think that's such a great reminder, like go out in the world and look people eye to eye, do the networking events, do the speaking events. What events can you create so that you can actually meet people in real life, and then have something super easy for them to go. Like I got this lead magnet at charlottesmith.com/guide or whatever. Go there, easy to remember, easy to say, easy to remember on a screen, and build the list that way. So yeah, so that is still your number one list building is live events.
Live connection. I don't really do live events, but
sorry, I meant like
speaking. Yeah, speaking. So okay, I would say my number one list builder is my Facebook ad, but they're cold when they come. So it takes months or years to turn them into a paying client. But I get more people every day on my list because of my Facebook ads. But when I go speak and I get 50 people on my email list, even though I got 500 this month from Facebook ads, say I only get 50 from a speaking gig, 5 of those people from a speaking gig are going to buy within the next 30 to 60 days.
Right. They're hot leads.
Hot. And one of those hopefully will buy within the next year from the cold ad. So
got it.
So I definitely quantity versus quality. And I do both. I believe in doing both in today's world.
Yeah. And especially where you are in your business, like you're really trying to scale this. So you've got to add the paid. Can I just ask if you're willing to share? If not, that's okay too. I would love to know the price, because this market is going to be very, very price sensitive. They're not making millions and millions and millions of dollars. Right. So can you just talk about what, if you're willing to share, what is the price and how did you choose that?
Yes, my price is $2,500 for 1 year of weekly group coaching calls and my 3 online courses that cover time management, a sales course, and a marketing course. Step-by-step hand holding how to do it, because farmers, farming is their first love, not the tech you need for marketing. And so how I came up with the price is, I believe you're right. Farmers are at the bottom of the socioeconomic scale as far as income. And I want my program to be accessible to every farmer everywhere. The other thing is my program's called 5X Your Farm Sales. They will make their money back and many, many times over. They can sign up with the payment plan. And I have people, everyone's different, but some will email me 30 days later and say, I invested $2,500. I just did the emails, how you teach in the 5-day sales launch, and I made $10,000 that there's no way I would have made if I hadn't joined this program. So I made it accessible. And then what I teach, they learn to make money, and they will make their money back many times over. So for me, it's a no-brainer. You can put it on a credit card, 4 monthly payments, and set your goal of let's make that $2,500 back in the first 30 days. And I tell them, if you want to do that, focus on this one class in the program. So I think it's just a no-brainer that every farmer everywhere, no matter what size, needs to be in there, because it's a money-making skill you will take with you the rest of your life.
Oh my God, I love it. And would you ever, like, I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to hear from you. Are you going to keep your price? You don't have, like, some online business will be like 2,500. I'm going to double it to 5, and then I'm going to have a 10,000. Is that where you're going to go? Or you want it to be accessible? Number one.
Yeah. My love is providing this work for farmers, period. I always want it to be accessible. Right now, there is no plan to change that price. And I absolutely respect all of my colleagues that do that. Like, okay, it's 2,500 this year, price is doubling next year because I'm a better coach. I get my clients results faster, etc. For me, the accessibility to all farmers is a value that I uphold. I want everyone to be able to do this work, and that's important to me.
Yeah. Okay. And then just a rando question here. You just said something in the previous comment about your clients making money. Do farmers, like, again, I'm immersed in a certain type of farmer up here. Do they have an email list? How do they grow their email list? Do they even know what an email list is?
If they work with me, they have an email list. Yeah.
But how do you teach them to get, like, in the same way that, like, the way that you did?
Yes. Yep. I have lead magnet templates in my program. One's a recipe template and the other one's a checklist template. And the first thing we do within 2 weeks after starting, I have step-by-step how to create, say you're selling grass-fed beef. Well, then it's going to be my 5 favorite grass-fed beef recipes, including, T-bone steak, whatever. So a very specific, it's a beautiful thing that their customers will see on their website, and I make it super easy for them. Or the checklist lead magnet template, also very beautiful. They just have to put their content in there, which is so easy for them to do. And it might be like, get your free checklist, 7 tips to make your fresh cut flowers last longer, or something like that. So yes, I teach them lead magnets and how to build an email list with all their customers. And my farmers in my program learn to make money. They're learning to build profitable farms, which most people think is not possible in the farming world, but it is when you learn the skills and shift your mindset.
I believe you have a second offer.
I do. I have a program because the farmers get in there and they love how their life changes with coaching. Their relationships change. A lot of farmers are farming generationally. So of course their marriage has never been better. Their relationship with their in-laws or their parents or their adult children has never been better. And so they wanted coaching, like, how do we get more of this? So yes, I have a program for anyone who's in my 5X Your Farm Sales program. Once a year, I have a program called Farmers Coaching Farmers, coach certification, and I take them through a coach training program. And that's amazing. It is amazing. It deepens their self-coaching. This is, and then they can use that for their own personal development, but many of them are using it professionally. Like they are building, for me, when I started raw milk, I had a lot of customers with a lot of children, families with health issues. So they are using coaching to coach their customers. And because they built this email list, they sell their products, and now they have a coaching practice where they meet with 5 people a week. Or they're coaching other farmers because they've been in business, they have a set of skills, and now the mindset to coach other farmers who want help. So the beauty, here's how I just love that I'm so grateful to myself that I didn't know this was what I was doing, but coaching is way bigger profit margin than farming. So I have now given the farmers in my program a way to keep farming, because they have a way to 5 clients a week. They can work for 10 hours a week on this side gig that is so much more profitable. It also gives my older farmers a way to retire. Like, when I was entered my 50s, I realized, okay, I can't milk cows forever. What can I do next? Coaching has been that solution for me. And a lot of my older farmers are moving toward coaching so they can back off on the physical demands of farming. And sometimes it's training horses, herding cattle, hauling cattle to the butcher. I did that a lot. And there were times where I thought, oh, I could have been killed right there. How responsible is this at my age? So I've created this livelihood for farmers that, again, is transforming their lives, saving their lives, that they can use coaching, which they love. Because once we find coaching and have change our own lives. We want to share it with the world. And so, yeah, that's been a really fulfilling second part of my business.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
Charlotte, can you tell us a little bit about your team size?
Yes, sure. I have, sorry. I have 3 virtual assistants that specialize in different areas. One is social media. One is my admin. I get hundreds of emails a week. She helps me with that. And the third one is tech. If I say I have my launch coming up, she knows all the 50, she can just go set up the launch. I tried to get a VA that could do all 3, but once I got bigger to this level, having those 3 experts, they all work various part-time hours. So I don't have any one of them full-time. That's been great. And then I have 3 paid coaches I contract with who help me out, because up until a year ago, I was doing all the coaching and I was growing, and it became a bottleneck. I was the bottleneck. Like, I can't, we were just in Nashville for a week, you and I, building our businesses. I wasn't able to have that flexibility to leave. But now with my 3 contract coaches who I can call on to support me, I can continue grow. I can teach coach training, for instance, and have them help out in other ways. So yeah, I have 6 different contractors.
How many hours do you think you work in a week?
I try to work about 30 hours a week. That doesn't include that I am thinking about and reading articles and books on when I'm done with work, my evening is spent often reading, listening to podcasts. It doesn't include that mental time, but 30 hours a week running my business, coaching, creating content, recording podcasts, all that.
Yeah. We also wanted to ask you about your book.
Yeah.
Is it self-published?
It is.
And did you do that for like a lead magnet? Like, is that a funnel kind of situation?
Yes. So before I wrote the book, I learned, I was fully educated that you don't make money on a book unless you're like Danielle Steele or John Grisham or
Doyle.
something. Yeah, exactly. A book. And so being in the marketing world, what I kept reading is a book is a fantastic marketing tool. So I wrote my book. That was a challenge. I said, I'll never write another book. That is really hard work. I think I bought a $100 course on how to write a book and publish it as an Amazon bestseller. And I followed that course step by step by step. I did exactly that. I made it an Amazon bestseller that first month or so it was on there. And what happens is now I use in the book, they might buy the book or be given the book. And inside I've got like, if you want the worksheets to go along with this chapter, go to charlottemsmith.com/worksheets. And now they're on my email list. So that is an email list builder. And what I realize is also I get better. I started getting asked to do keynote speaking gigs because I had a book. So they like their keynote speakers to have books. And then the other thing is if I'm doing a speaking engagement and there's 30 people, 50 people in the audience, I take a book for everybody. So they may never read the book. I made it small and affordable on purpose. So affordable for me, them also, but me to print off a bunch of copies and take them and hand them out for free. Because then we're practicing the reciprocity factor. Like I've given them a book and now they're going to go home and feel all these wonderful dopamine that she gave me a book and jump on my website and get on my email list and become a paying client. So it's just writing the book has been a beautiful, strategic, smart marketing tool. And I didn't know how great it would be. And so I'm giving my past self lots of credit for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay. Do you have any questions about that, Jenny? Oh. Joy and Hustle?
Yes. So Charlotte, at the end of every episode, we always ask our guests to share something that's bringing you joy in your life right now and a tool that can help our audience grow in their career or business.
I'm excited for this. I'm so curious what you're going to say.
Okay. Well, it's very, very, very simple. My joy is so simple. I take about an hour every day at the end of my day. My day ends about 3:00 in the afternoon. And I take an hour of personal time where I do nothing. I don't go get a massage or, I don't go work out. I don't catch up on laundry. I'm just being present with myself. And I might have a prompt, I might pull up a affirmation on self-love or self-acceptance to prompt me. And I just go into this quiet space. And what I realized is that is luxury. Like I spent my whole life chasing luxury. Like, luxury is the right vacation. Or when I have that purse or that car, my life will feel luxurious. And when I added this free time every day of being present, doing nothing, my life feels so luxurious. Like I realize now that time doing nothing is the luxury I was trying to go after my whole life, and I will never stop doing that. And it does. It's so joyful. And I teach my clients the same thing in the program. I teach them that as farmers, and I teach them time management. So they learn how to create that for themselves. And same thing. We all just will never go back to not having that.
Yeah, that's great. And your hustle?
My hustle, I have been playing around with Chat GPT, and what I've realized, and I want to keep playing around with it so I can teach it to my clients. When I'll just put in like topics, give me some ideas for this or that. And what I realize, or write an email about something, and it's not copywriting. But it'll give me so many ideas for content for both me and my clients. And then I can go in and use my copywriting skills to make it less like, formal English speak, and turn it into sales copy, whether that's on my social media or emails or anything. So I've been really blown away by what you just saying like write a sales email in the voice of Charlotte Smith and see what they come up with. And it just gives me so many other ideas.
Yeah, that's amazing. Jenny, you're all into Chat GPT.
Yeah. I mean, AI in general, I'm sort of a fan and someone who's extremely wary of the implications for society, but I do study it quite a bit, and I'm pretty intrigued and impressed. I do think it makes running an online business much easier than it was when we all got started. So I think people have a bit of a leg up on us, because just the sheer amount of content you need to create when you're getting started, it really helps to not have a blank page. So I agree with that one.
And it's interesting that I can tell in my inbox now, the emails that are written to me by AI, it's like, And so my intrigue is to learn how to edit the copy so that it is not recognizable as an AI email. Cause I get those every day. It's like, oh, you're taking the lazy way out. We still got to do some work to make it connect, but I love the challenge.
That's great. Well, Charlotte, thank you so much for spending the time chatting with us. It's been an absolute delight, and tell everybody where they can find you if they want to learn more.
Sure. I have a podcast, the Profitable Mindset Podcast. My website is charlottemsmith.com. So much beautiful resources for farmers on that website. I'm on Instagram, charlotte.m.smith. I think that's about it.
That's great. Thank you, Charlotte. Love chatting with you.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun.